So first of all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here and learn a little bit more about what we're doing as a school district. So before we get started, I want to share with you some of our distinguished guests that are here with us this evening. First of all, Strongsville Education Board President Carl Naso. Vice President Colonel Duke Evans. Board Member George Grozan. Board Member Jane Ludwig. Board Member Richard Micko. I thank them for their leadership and their work and the support that they've given me throughout my time as superintendent, and as we see the work that we do together as a leadership team. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank our treasurer, George Anagnostou, who's in the back, for being here tonight, for his support and his work on behalf of our district. And finally, I would like to thank Mayor Persiak, who was gracious enough to take time out of his schedule to be here. Over the past few years, we have truly developed a wonderful partnership between the city and the schools, and I would look forward to that partnership growing in future years. So thank you, Mayor, for taking time and being here this evening. Now, the great part about tonight is I get to stand up here and share with you all the wonderful work that we're doing as a school district and the challenges that we have ahead. And yes, I have a part of it, but I am blessed to work with the staff, work with teachers, and work with an administrative team, many of whom are here with us this evening, that make these goals and these action steps a reality. So if you'd please join me in recognizing our staff, our administrators, and our teachers across the district. So to get us started, I'm going to turn it over to Board President Carl Naso with some welcoming remarks.
Thank you, Cameron. Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you all for your support of our levy last November. It helps us keep doing what we do. I'm excited for tonight's State of the School presentation because we get to share with you all the great things that are going on in this district. And to be certain, Strongsville City Schools are on a roll, academically, athletically, and in the arts. This 7-person leadership team consists of the Board of Education, the superintendent, and the treasurer. And I want to assure you all that we're rowing in the same direction, and we're dedicated to our goal of moving forward towards excellence. Back on August 10th, at our annual board retreat, the leadership team and certain key personnel, many of whom are in this room, got together and we laid out our strategic plan. And we laid out the action steps necessary to deliver on that plan. Our administration, our staff, our teachers are all working from that same game plan to deliver on our commitment. We are facing some challenges. This year, roughly $4 million in state cuts, courtesy of a line item veto from Mr. Kasich. But we're going to sharpen our pencils. We're going to do our best to reduce our spend, offset some of those cuts, and lessen the impact on our students. At every board meeting, we recite our 3 goals. Every single board meeting, we recite our 3 goals. And every action that we take at the board meeting is driven towards those 3 goals. So student achievement, financial prudence, community engagement. We work diligently at our primary objective, which is student achievement. We honor our commitment to the taxpayers through financial prudence. And then with the help of some community engagement, we maximize those goals, and we optimize the educational product that we deliver to our students every day. I want to thank you again all for coming tonight. We're excited. We're proud to be Mustangs. And with that, I want to introduce our superstar Superintendent Cameron Ryba.
You can take that back. I'm not going to use that. Thanks. That's right. So what we want to do tonight is kind of share where we're going, what we've done in the first 6 months of the school year, and what's in store for the second 6 months of the school year, and what successes we're in store and what challenges may lie ahead. So to do that, we have to understand where we're going. And a few years ago, when I was hired on as superintendent, I was asked to put a plan together about what is our vision for the district and where are we going. And we came up with our Strong Schools 2020 plan, which, as you could see on the slide here, states that we want to ensure that we have an innovative and exceptional educational experience for our students that meets the needs of our community. That's where we're going. We feel that we are a premier school district. We feel that we can continue to enhance what we do to rank among those premier school districts in the region and the state. So that's the destination. That's where we're traveling to. That's the work we do each day. But we need to chart the path to do that. And our mission statement really breaks down that concept into 4 areas. First of all, we need to prepare our kids, our students, to be not only successful in school, but successful in life, whatever that may be after they leave our K-12, our preschool to K-12 program. Secondly, we need to make sure if we're going to reach that goal of student success in school and life, that we have the absolute best staff in the area, whether that's from support staff to teachers to administrators. Not only do we try to hire the best staff, but how do we support and build capacity and train our staff once they're a part of our district? We also need to make sure that our teachers, our staff, our students have outstanding resources, have outstanding facility, and how do we balance that within our financial parameters? And then, as a school district, we are a representative of our community. How do we ensure that the education, the opportunities that we're offering to our students are in line with the community's goals for our students? So we've got our destination, we've got the path we're going to go, and as Mr. Naso said, we have specific steps that we work on each year through our Strong Schools 2020 plan through the 3 goals of academic achievement and growth, financial prudence, and community engagement, and how each pieces of that mission statement fall into the work that we do each and every day. So, but before we talk about the work that we've done in the past 6 months, I think it's important to know who we are a little bit as a school district. And we started every year, we have a convocation, and our theme this year was one team, one goal. We are all on the same team working towards that same goal of having a premier educational experience for our students. So our team is made up of about 5,500 students this year. If you look at the diversity that makes up that team, we have exactly 233 students in our district that are learning English as their second language. We are teaching them, and that comes from 27 different languages and countries that represent the students in our district. We have some students that a traditional brick and mortar school may not be what works best for them, and we had started a year or so ago the Strongsville Academy, where we now have 50 students that are receiving their education completely or partially online. We also have students that are identified gifted, that need enrichment to help extend their superior knowledge, and we have nearly 1,000 students in our district based on the state standards that are identified as gifted learners. We also have over 500 students that receive and need support through special education services, and we have over 1,000 students in our district that are on our free and reduced lunch program based on the socioeconomic status of their families. So as we look at the 5,500 students in our district, we have a wide variety of needs that we need to support to ensure all of our students are on the path for success after they leave us in high school. And hopefully what you'll see tonight is some of the work that we've done to begin to proactively plan for all of those students when we provide instruction. So let's take a look at what we're doing to make sure our kids are successful and ready for a career, college, or life. One of the things we've done this year and spent a lot of time doing is aligning our elementary instruction. We have 5 different elementary buildings, and it's important to us that whether you're in 3rd grade at Kinsner or Chapman, Moraski, Sarrar, or Whitney, you're getting a similar experience. And at the high school level and middle school level, we needed to take a hard look at how are we aligning our course offerings 6 to 12 to make sure there's pathways as students go throughout their educational career. So here's the question we started with this year and a few years ago is, what do we want students to learn? Our curriculum director, Aaron Green, who's back there tonight, has done a tremendous amount of work to answer that question by grade level, by subject, by course, and map out what do we want students to learn when they're in a class that we teach. This year we've gone a step beyond, and we have implemented what we call curriculum audits, where every quarter or trimester teachers are sitting down together and saying, how did we implement the curriculum we want our kids to learn? Are we pacing it in the right way? Are our kids getting it? What do we need? What supports do we need to move forward? Second, we asked the question, how do we support students in their learning? One of the things that we noticed a few years ago was our resources for our students and teachers were out of date. Our teachers, because they had to, were creating their own resources, and math in 5th grade in one building may have looked different than math in a different building. So we put together a plan to make sure our textbooks and resources were updated. We made sure we had consistent online resources for our families so that education could extend beyond the school day. And especially at our high school and middle school level, we began to focus on skills that were necessary to have success in life rather than isolated content knowledge. So I know when I went to high school, and I'll pick on social studies, and I took a social studies test, it was very much facts and figures. When did this person live? When was this battle fought? Now we're teaching our kids how are the skills of analyzing, of synthesizing, of learning lessons from our historical documents to apply them to new situations. And those skills of communicating, collaborating, and being critical thinkers are skills that are going to last a lot longer than knowing isolated information. The last thing we've been doing this year is really looking at what pathways we have available for our students from middle school to high school. Mr. Tomino, one of our associate principal at the high school, he did an audit of the courses that we offer at Strongsville High School compared to a lot of other districts that we would consider premier in the Northeast Ohio area. And we found that although there are some gaps, our course curriculum availability to our students is second to none. We have a tremendous amount of opportunities for our students, and we've worked with the middle school to ensure that there's pathways, so when they start with an art music production course in the middle school, or they start with a robotics course, that there's a pathway for them to explore those interests as they go on to the secondary level. And as we look as an example, we've done a tremendous amount of work led by our department chairs and high school administration of alignment of our career tech offerings in the school. So as I said, we have something called Project Lead the Way at the middle school, where we have students studying robotics or medical detectives or design and modeling. And we have completely revamped our career tech offerings at the high school to incorporate some of those STEM concepts to ensure that our students have those pathways that are started in the middle school to continue on through high school. The second thing we've been working on under the leadership of Vicki Turner, our Director of Instructional Technology, is bringing maker spaces into our elementary, middle, and high school. Now, maker spaces, as we look at, is a movement to get kids beyond just the structured curriculum that we have in our classes, but expand their thinking, expand their collaboration, their creativity to get hands-on engagement with learning. And we thought it would be best to show you what's happening throughout our buildings with a little video that we put together that will show you some pictures of what's going on across the district. So we could probably talk for the full hour about what we're doing with makerspaces in our district and how impactful it has been. We have a makerspace at Kinsner. We have a makerspace, as you saw, at the middle school and high school, and by the end of the year, we will have makerspaces at the 4 remaining elementary schools. But the excitement we see, the way that our teachers are integrating these concepts into our classrooms is something we're very proud of. And I would venture to say that we are a leader in the area in terms of what we're doing in our district as with makerspaces, as evidence that we've already given tours to over 24 different tours to folks coming to our district to learn, to explore, and to see what they can take and replicate back to their district. As a side note to the presentation, this is an extremely proud point for me because for so many, I've been in the district since 2003, and for so many years we've been going to other districts to find out what they're doing so we can replicate it in our district. The tides are turning and now districts are coming to us to figure out what they can implement in their district, and we're extremely proud of the leadership that's been provided for Makerspace, not only because it's cool stuff and it's fun stuff for the kids, but it's really building those skills that we want as they move throughout their education with us. So we talked about at the beginning that we want to hire the best staff and build capacity within our staff so they can continue to learn and grow. During the first 6 months of the school year, we've put a lot of time and energy and professional development into these areas, into writing instruction. How are we teaching our kids to write, especially in our elementary schools K-5? We've spent time providing professional development to our staff on how do we support students that may have social emotional challenges when they come to us, or mental health needs that we need to support. The mental health needs of our students continue to expand and grow, and our teachers need to have the training to have that toolkit to help support them when they're in their classrooms. We talk a lot about it as a district. We've spent about 1.5 years planning and have just started rolling out a concept called Universal Design for Learning, which in its simplest terms is a way of thinking and planning that includes everyone in the classroom. We've spent time, what happens when students don't get it, when they're struggling? How are we providing interventions and supports in a systematic way across the district? And we've been training and working with our teachers on that. And then as we've seen through the Makerspace, how do we incorporate those 4 C's of 21st century learning? Our last professional development day, just this Tuesday, spent time taking these concepts and teachers having the opportunity to learn, to play, to engage, and look at how they can build this into their classroom. Again, as a side note, one of the sessions that we had was green screen technology and how you can integrate that into your classroom. The day after at Strongsville Middle School, we had multiple requests, and I saw the green screen out and about as English teachers and other teachers used it as a component of their instruction for our students. So I would love to tell you more about what we're doing in these areas, but I think it's important that you hear from our principals and our schools for how they're integrating the work we're doing as a district and how they're taking that and bringing that to life at each of our school buildings.
Our staff at the Early Learning Preschool is dedicated to providing a high-quality education through our developmentally appropriate play-based curriculum. Our daily instructional practices are influenced by the principles of Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. UDL is not a curriculum or another initiative. It's a mindset and belief system that provides our teachers with practical strategies and techniques to ensure that all learners can meet high expectations.
I like to use UDL in my classroom so that all students can access every activity that we do. So some ways I like to use it is always having visuals, pictures for children to be able to understand what we're talking about. It also helps them follow directions, so if they're not really great at listening to directions, they can always see the directions. We also do it a lot for routines or steps to an activity, so they know what to follow. They don't have to rely on adults. It also helps them demonstrate what they know.
Welcome to Chapman Elementary School. This year our focus is I do, we do, you do. And that translates into a growth mindset for our teachers, for our parents, and most importantly, our students. So this year one of my focuses is ways parents can instill a growth mindset and specific activities they can do at the dinner table, when they're in the car, things that they can do to help promote the growth mindset in their student, rather their child, to help develop them academically, socially, emotionally at home that will then translate into student success at school.
When you come to school and you know maybe things will be hard, but you can work and you can do them and you can make progress, and everybody's progress may look different. But when you know that you can do it and you have that mindset, even when things are hard, you can still work at them. And that's a growth mindset.
It is known that we are trying to prepare our kids for the future. But how do you prepare kids for the future when you don't know what the future looks like? With technology changing daily, the jobs, the universities, the careers, all are unknown, especially for elementary students by the time they graduate. So in order to prepare students for the future that is unknown to us all, we must teach them how to be thinkers, we must teach them how to be problem solvers, we must teach them how to embrace and love a challenge. So with help from a grant from the Strongsville Education Foundation to make a makerspace and our gifted intervention specialist, Karen Sherwood, we have started this year a Tinker Club.
There you go. Well, the maker movement has been going on nationally for a long time, and it's kind of going back to kind of the DIY fun that those of us who are of a certain age remember doing routinely, but with a little more of a tech edge. We generally have about 8 or 9 stations set up, and the students rotate through the stations according to their interests. It's engineering challenges, design challenges, problem solving, creativity. They had a lot of fun with it.
At Moraski this year, we're working on a program called the Kindness Crew, and our students are working to help other students solve conflicts and social problems on the playground and in the classroom.
Students are picked from the grades by their teachers from last year, and they chose 1 student or 2 students from each classroom, and it's based on their kindness and work ethic, not grades or anything like that, but just how nice they are and leadership. And what we do is we try to do spread kindness, inspire acts of kindness and goodness throughout our school community and also the community of Strongsville as a whole.
Some people don't have the stuff that other people have, and it's good to be nice to people, and it feels really good.
My favorite part is when we help people and everybody's kind to each other.
At Soror Elementary School, we're very proud of the writing curriculum that the district has adopted. We've seen great gains. Our students are publishing their own writing, and this is just a different approach to writing that we're taking this year with Lucy Calkins. She is more into the curriculum is more into student-led writing instead of the teacher standing up and directing students how to write a certain piece. Students come in with a small moment, something that they're passionate about or something that's happened to them that they know a lot of information about, so they can write and create their own stories that way.
I have to say that I'm excited about it. It's really the first time when you're asking kids to write that they're not complaining about writing. They just seem to have so much to tell. They work with writing partners, and I think just that, not being afraid to put themselves out there, and the things they write about really are about them, either something they did or something that happened to them. And they help each other, so it's that teamwork, working together with a partner, no matter what their skill level is. It's just kind of an all-around good thing, I think.
You can do that.
I wrote about my first wrestling match because I wrestle at the Strongsville High School. I like to write because I think it's an activity that can keep you busy for a while and you won't have to be bored.
Captain's Table here at Whitney evolved out of what used to be Pizza with a Principal lunch, and it was something that was in place as a reward for students who had shown pride here at Whitney. So that would be being prepared, being responsible, inclusive, determined, and engaged in the classroom and here at school. We wanted this year to take Pizza with the Principal and kind of up it to a new level. So because the theme here at Whitney this year is a cruise into learning theme, we took the cruise idea and made it into a fine dining club where kids now receive as the reward, instead of Pizza with a Principal, they receive lunch at the captain's table. It's also a reward in that we have our staff that has volunteered here to come in and serve the students. So each month we have teachers that these students know and interact with in the classroom come in and be their servers. So they're saying to them, "Sir, would you like some more? Sir, can I take your plate?" And it's a really neat interaction to watch because it shifts that role between teacher and student for a little bit. And it also gives our staff a chance to sit and talk with students in a very, informal kind of a way. So what are you going to do this weekend? What are your plans? What's new? That kind of a thing in a more relaxed atmosphere.
To me, it means that I've been showing good pride at the school and I've been working hard to be a good student.
It means to me like how you're working hard in the school and trying your best all the time.
So we have a program here at Strongsville Middle School called Mustang Roundup, and the goal is to reinforce student expectations and teach them the skills to be successful in and out of the classroom. Each month, we focus on a single pillar of pride. Our teams celebrate student successes. We play games, we do activities, and we try to keep this as positive as we can for our students. So this is a program that's designed for all students, and the overall goal is to reduce student discipline, but improve positive behaviors that students are going to share throughout the building on a daily basis.
The Mustang Roundup is a monthly meeting that we have with the kids that is established to help positive behaviors here at Strongsville Middle School.
For instance, one of the tools that we use are these Mustang tickets, and these are to recognize kids who go above and beyond the normal activities. For instance, I have a student who is extremely helpful with one of our students who came from Mexico, and without prompting, she helps him constantly. So I would give her one of these tickets, and she would put it in this bowl, and she'd be entered for a raffle, and we hold these monthly.
Here at the high school, we are going to highlight our DECA program and the relationships we have with our business community here in Strongsville.
DECA is an association of marketing students, and the students that are involved in the DECA program here at Strongsville High School are getting ready to compete against other schools in the area, and they'll be competing with real life situations, case studies, and using their soft skills that they've learned throughout the program in order to problem solve real life situations and to come up with solutions that businesses are currently having.
Well, DECA for me, it has taught me so many skills, not only in the classroom, but also what I can take outside of the classroom. So it brought me to California, and there I met so many different people that I can continue to talk to probably for the rest of my life, and they'll help me in my career and also in my job as a teenager. It has taught me soft skills to deal with customers, and really it just taught me how to function in a professional setting.
On a daily basis here at DECA, I'm learning how to talk to customers politely, how to manage a situation if anything were to come up. It's basically preparing me for what I want to major in college. I want to major in business and marketing, and everything I learned here is going to prepare me for that.
As I said earlier, that's where the real work is being done at the building level, and thank you to the principals that let us come in and highlight the great work that you're doing. I know you truly enjoyed seeing yourself on the screen in front of everybody tonight, but appreciate all the work that you're doing. And what this work is doing as a district and at the school level is looking at how we can continue to improve. And one of the things that we need to improve on and we need to get better is the ratings that we're seeing on our state report card. As we got our state report card this recent year, because of all the changes in state testing, we've seen extreme highs in our district, and we've seen some dips that need to improve. But I've never been more confident in my years as a central office administrator than I am right now with where we're headed, the foundation we have in place, and the work we're doing. We're doing the right work, and we are confident that based on the work, we will start to see those results come in terms of the report card. We saw a lot of positives on our report card this year. If you look at how our elementary schools did, altogether we saw great success. The work that we're doing to support our elementary schools is working. We have a tremendous amount of effort going on at the high school and middle school, and we're continuing to provide that support throughout the district and our elementary schools as well. So what have we done this year already? We've analyzed all data. The state report card is one test given on one day at one point in time. So how are our students doing throughout the district on different assessment data that we have, and what themes are we seeing? So one theme that we saw was that we needed to improve our writing instruction across the district. That's why not only K to 5 are we focusing on writing, but we have a new English language arts series at the high school and middle school that also focuses heavily on how we're instructing in writing. We provided that targeted professional development to our staff as we talked about, and our building principals developed plans for each of their buildings about how they're supporting the work, and we support them and the work that they're doing. And some of the work that we're doing right now is developing common assessments, not more assessments, not different assessments, but assessments that are embedded within what our teachers do on a day-to-day basis to help us monitor how our students are doing throughout the school year, so we don't have to wait until we get the state test results to see how they're doing. We know throughout the school year. And I just want to personally thank our principals and our teachers for the tremendous amount of work that they've done to put these plans into place. There's a teacher here tonight that I'm not going to name, but after we released our test results this summer, they quickly sent me a message saying these test results will improve guaranteed. And I believed, and it inspired me to work harder, and I know that that individual is leading the work at their building to make that goal a reality, and I greatly appreciate it. So all of this is great. We're doing all of this work as a district, but how is it translating to really what we're here for? And that's the success and growth of our students. So we look at, are we preparing students for life and college and career? So we take a look at our high school data. So right now we're seeing not only do we have a plethora of rigorous activities or courses for our students, but 92% of our high schoolers are participating in a college-based curriculum. And we look at that, last year we had 603 high school students take part in AP advanced placement courses. What that means is those are college level courses that if they take an AP exam and score a 3 or higher, that they are earning college credit while they're in high school. We had over 1,100 exams taken, and we last year won an award for being on the AP honor roll, which means we've extended our enrollment in AP classes while keeping the same level of success from our students. So if we have students that may be on the college path or the career path, we offer opportunities for that as well. We collaborate with Polaris and have brought in programs through satellite programs to support our students. At the middle school and our pre-engineering program at the high school, we have nearly 1,000 students that are enrolled in career-based programs. And we have over almost 150 students at the high school that go to Polaris to get high-quality career-based education. Not only are our students finding success in the classroom, but they are earning college credits beyond AP at Strongsville High School. So whether they take college credit plus courses on campus or they go to Tri-C or Cleveland State or Lorain Community, last year our students earned 2,631 college credits while still being enrolled in high school. Now I don't know exactly what a college credit goes for these days, but if you multiply that by $2,631, that's a tremendous amount of savings that is being provided to our students while they're still in high school. And as they're going through those college courses or our high school curriculum, they are outperforming the state and the nation in our ACT results. And what we're seeing is nearly 91% of our students report that after they leave Strongsville High School, they're going on to a 2- or 4-year college-based program. And we're extremely proud of those accomplishments. So as we look at how do we balance all the work we're doing in academics and providing opportunities and programs with that financial prudence and providing outstanding resources and facilities, we need to first look at how are we investing in our students. And we've just given you some examples that we feel set us apart a little bit from other districts. First of all, we talked about 922 students that are identified as gifted learners. We provide K-5 gifted intervention specialists at every building. That is not typical in the area. We also provide honors courses and AP courses as you enter in 6th grade. We start our instrumental music program in 5th grade. That is not typical. You wonder why we have such a phenomenal orchestra band program. It's because we start about a year earlier than most folks do. As we look at the middle school, we talked about expanding those STEM-based programs, and also we have a student production studio which has been greatly enhanced this year. In high school, we talked about all the course offerings that we offer that give our students the experiences that they need to be competitive as they leave our high school, and we've already referred to Makerspace. We shared earlier about all the textbook adoptions. I just look back the last, I think, 3 to 4 years. These are the upgrades and resources, the toolkits that we've given our teachers so they're equipped to have the best resources to educate our students, as well as the board providing an additional $500,000 a year for technology, where we've implemented a one-to-one Chromebook program, interactive projectors, which you could see here, instructional tech coaches, as we talked about, an online education program for our students. So what is the reality of our finances? And as you can see here, this is a graph that we show a lot. And what this graph is showing is, as Mr. Naso said at the beginning, if our state funding, as well as the tax revenue that we get that's fairly consistent on a year basis, would have stayed the same, the red line is our financial outlook for the next 5 years, which is what we have to do as a district, is our 5-year forecast. Because of Governor Kasich's veto and the elimination of TPP, which has reduced our budget by about $4 million, you see this blue line, which is the reality. So what that means for us as a district is we have to make tough decisions of how do we reduce this gap and how do we have a budget that stays above zero and has a cash positive balance. So some of the things we've done as we look at that financial outlook is we look at organizational efficiencies. We know that's coming. We don't want to wait till 2021 or 22 to do something about it. What can we do now and what have we done to help lengthen the amount of time that we have before we have financial challenges? First of all, based on the work of our treasurer, he put into place a new investment strategy, which last year alone increased our interest revenue by over $100,000 compared to $37,000 the year before. We, in fiscal year 14, we switched to a self-insured healthcare plan rather than fully insured. Because of that switch, so far we've saved $4.6 million for the taxpayers. We have looked at our enrollment has declined, and I'll talk more about that later on in the presentation, but we've reduced our staffing positions at the same percentage as our student enrollment has declined, and just in the last 2 years alone, that has saved the district $2 million. And not only have we saved money in those areas, but we do pride ourselves, and George prides himself on being financially transparent with the work that we've done. And you could see there's too many recognitions and awards to mention that he has received based on his financial accounting and financial transparency. The other thing that we did is Mr. Naso, George, and I, in October, we went to Chicago. Moody's is a financial rating brokerage that looks at cities. The city is rated through Moody's. The district is rated through Moody's. And recently, we had what is called a AA3 rating. So just like you as a person want to have a great credit score, we want to have a great credit score as a district. So we went to Chicago, we went to Moody's, we provided a presentation to say, here's why we feel we're a financially stable district and our financial outlook is positive. Based on the work we did and the presentation we gave, Moody's upgraded our bond rating from AA3 to AA2. The most they can increase you is one level at a time. So what that gave us the opportunity to do is, if you remember that $81 million bond issue that we were blessed with from the taxpayers to build a new middle school and renovate schools, we were able to refinance basically that $81 million. So just as you would take your home mortgage a few years ago and refinance your 30-year or 15-year mortgage, and you would see thousands of dollars of savings, based on the leadership of George and the work that we did with Moody's, we were able to refinance a part of that bond issue, and that is going to be a direct savings to the taxpayers of almost $750,000 based on that refinance. So we're very excited about that work, and as you see it in this graph, what we're looking at is if we would have just stayed the course and not made any of those tough decisions and those changes, if we would have looked at 2022, our expenditures would have been a little over $88 million a year. But because we reduced staff commensurate with our enrollment, because we were moved to self-insurance, because we made other adjustments, our budget expenditures in 2022 has been reduced proactively by $10 million over the course of the work that we've done. So here's our 5-year forecast that George presented in October. What you see here are actual figures. So you could see that our beginning cash balance in 2015 was $7.2 million. We had $71.9 million in revenue, and we expended $66.7 million. We ended with an unencumbered balance of $11.3 million. Every year, because of the financial practices we've put into place and some of the tough decisions we've made, we've been able to add to that unencumbered balance, and we started this year with $23 million balance for the district. That sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But as you can see, our balance is about a $71, $72 million a year budget, and it takes a significant amount of funds to keep us operating at the level we would want. The part that we look at is this line right here. What this line is saying is, are we spending more than we're bringing in revenue? So this is this year right here, and as you can see, based on the budget that has been presented in October, we are projected to spend $1.8 million more than we will bring in revenue. And it compounds itself throughout the years, and as you can see, in 2022, we are projected to spend nearly $10 million more than we bring in, and we would have a deficit of $5.6 million. As a public school district, we cannot have a negative deficit, so we have two decisions to make. Either how are we going to control expenditures, and I'm going to be candid, as a district, there is not a lot of low-hanging fruit. We have done a lot of work over the years to streamline what we're doing, and it will be difficult decisions as to what programmatic changes do we need to make to balance the budget. All of those course offerings that we talked about at the high school, how are we going to look at all of those course offerings and the need going forward? The second option that we have is looking at how do we generate more revenue, and that would be looking at conversations with the board about putting an additional operating levy on the ballot to help support our expenses. It's important to note that the last time that we went to the taxpayers as a school district for new operating funds, which are different than bond funds to build buildings, was 2007. So as a school district, we have so far gone over 11 years on the tax dollars that we were blessed with back in 2007. We will soon be getting to a point where we can no longer live on those pretty stagnant tax dollars. So that's the decisions that we've got to look at as we go throughout the upcoming months. And to do that and to do some of the other work, it's important that we engage and collaborate with our community. And I wanted to just highlight a few opportunities that are out there if you're interested, or just so you're aware of some of the work that we do. We work together with our community to give guidance and support on our facilities and properties. We have a finance committee that gives recommendations on those things we're talking about, revenue generating opportunities or expenditure reductions. We're starting to work with our business advisory committee and get that up and going about how do we ensure that we're providing a workforce that meets the needs of our local companies and businesses. We also work with the community group looking at how are we ensuring we have a great experience, a premier experience for our students in athletics, arts, and extracurriculars. And if that wasn't collaborating with our community enough, we have a curriculum advisory committee getting feedback on some of the curricular materials that we're using. We have a Strongsville Positive Outreach team that does not collaborate with the community but offers community engagement opportunities. Some of the more popular ones are our annual Safe Halloween Trick or Treat, our Greet and Treat that happens every October, and an event that will be happening in the next few months, which is Family First Night, where we as a district do not assign any homework, tests, any work. It's an opportunity to have some family time, and we open up our buildings to help support that. I also feel as a superintendent it's important to hear from our students. We started a student advisory group where I meet quarterly with middle school and high school students about what do they think we need to do and improve as a district. And as I found out after our first meeting, they are not shy about letting me know what we need to do to improve. And we'll be working throughout that last half of the year. And then Vicki has parents on her technology committee to get their insight on some of the work that we're doing with regards to our technology work. So where are we going in the next 6 months? First of all, we're going to be auditing our grading practices. We're going to be taking a look at how are we grading, what it counts as a grade, and we're starting that work to just find out how are we grading, what's going in the grade book, how are we assessing kids, and is it assessing the right things so that grades truly are measuring mastery in the content or the subject that they're taking. Two projects that are big that Mr. Breckner, our operations manager, is overseeing is that $81 million bond issue we talked about. We have about $1.2 million allocated to elementary upgrades. So in the next month, he will be finalizing his recommendations to me about how we're going to utilize that $1.2 million to upgrade some of our elementary buildings throughout the district. He's also going to be conducting a feasibility study and looking at the safety of our buildings. So if you go to Kinsner, the high school or the middle school, you'll notice that you can't go anywhere in the building without going to the main office first. That's not true for the buildings that we've listed here. So we're looking for the safety of our students, for the safety of our buildings. What is the feasibility of adding a secure vestibule or secure entrance to all of our elementary buildings? And the last thing that we're looking at, and one of the things I get more questions about than most, is what are we doing with full-day kindergarten? Right now it's a tuition-based program. and we had our meeting last night. So throughout the rest of the year, we're doing a study to look at what is the educational benefit and a tuition study to see where we want to go in the future with full-day kindergarten. So to wrap up, a few slides that I want to share with you is, as we move and as we were getting ready for this presentation, we shared a survey with our community and said, what do you want to hear about? What are some things that are important to you that you would like us to address? So in the last few minutes that we have, I want to share some of the most popular things that were brought up. The first was student enrollment and class sizes. So before we talk about student enrollment, we've got to take a look at our city demographics. If you look at the 2000 and 2010 census data and the 2016 population study, you will see that ages 5 to 19, even though most of our children are not 19 years old, that's the data that they have, we've reduced by about 4% the students ages 5 to 19 that live in the city, and we've increased almost 8% of our population that are 65 and over. So congratulations, Mayor, for making it a wonderful place to call home. Our folks raise their families, they stay because of the wonderful services that we have. So the reality is, as a school district, we simply have, since the year 2000, 1,500 fewer school-age students to educate in our district. And as you look at our enrollment from 2006 on, you will see that that follows the same pattern as the census data, that our enrollment has declined and it's starting to level off, with this year's enrollment at this time almost 5,400 students. So what does this mean for class sizes? We have guidelines in the elementary level that we try to work towards. K to 3, we try to have class sizes of no more than 25. Of grade 4 on up, class sizes no more than 30 students. So as you could see on this graph, we took an average of K to 3 per building. Every building is below that cap of 25 students, which we feel is a good class size and both financially responsible and educationally responsible. We do have some higher class sizes in 4 to 5, but as we look at the building as a whole, we are right in a good spot with where we want to be with class sizes across our elementary buildings. We also took a look at our high school as a whole and our middle school as a whole, and we looked at core, which would be your English language arts, math, science, and social studies, and we saw, amazingly, that at both buildings, those averaged out to a class size of about 25 students. When we look at our encore classes, so that's our electives, our art, music, PE, world languages, what have you, we are looking at an average class size of 30 at the middle school and 21 at the high school. 30 at the middle school is more of a factor of their structure and their schedule than anything else. So as a district, we are very happy with where we're at enrollment-wise. We do know we have some higher class sizes that naturally go through, but we feel we're in a good spot with the board parameters of kind of that 25 per class with where we want to be. The other question that we got a lot is, what are we doing with Chromebooks and the technology integration in our district? And so I wanted to share with you another graph about this Chromebook one-to-one program. So at the high school, we're on year 2 of a true one-to-one program where every high schooler gets their own Chromebook for their 4 years of high school. All of our freshmen have it, all of our sophomores have it, and it'll be phased in each year. Our one-to-one program at the elementary grade level is and at our middle school is an 80% ratio. We take a look at how many students we have enrolled in grades 1 to 5 because we feel kindergartners are a little young in the beginning to truly get on Chromebooks as a learning tool. They use them later in the year. And 80% we should have a Chromebook ratio. So as you see, as you look at each of the buildings, the blue is the enrollment, the orange is the Chromebooks, and you'll notice in some buildings it's even or even more Chromebooks than we actually have students. That means the principal has decided to use their budget to have more Chromebooks available. One of the things we have to work through as a district is we get feedback that we need more Chromebooks. Our answer is we don't need more Chromebooks. We need to work on how to allocate those Chromebooks better. If you have a Chromebook cart of 30 Chromebooks, but you only have 22 kids in your class, 8 of those Chromebooks are sitting there not being used, and we need to find a better way to distribute those. So we're very happy, and we do not feel the need at this point to add any more Chromebooks. We feel this is an acceptable level, and as you can see, the same holds true for the high school and the middle school. So district facilities and properties. We've talked about our bond issue. We've built a brand new middle school that we absolutely love. We've renovated our high school, our preschool, our transportation complex, and as I said, we're looking at how we're going to use some of the bond dollars to support some elementary upgrades. One of the things that I did want to talk about is the properties that the district owns that does not have a building on it. We actually own 5 properties as a school district. Now, some of you may have never known that we actually own these properties, but we do have a property that's over there at Walnut Creek and White Bark. It's by the high school. It's woods right now, but that is a district property. This is at Albion and Webster, almost catty corner to Albion Middle School property. We own that property. This is the former Albion Middle School. That's the former Allen property. And this is what was the pupil service building by Jardine's Funeral Home on Pearl Road. So those are the properties that we own. As we talked about the Board Facilities Committee, they've developed a 30-year plan. And part of their plan is looking at what are we going to do with these properties. So one of the questions that I received is, where are we going? Are we right-sized as a district based on our enrollment? And my answer is yes. We plan in the future that we will need 5 elementary schools, and those 5 elementary schools are in each of the 4 quadrants of our city, and Muraski right in the middle. What the 30-year plan does say is that in the future, we are going to need to look at rebuilding or building new elementary schools because of the age and the amount of money it would cost to renovate. So the plan is this: Kinsner Elementary School would stay, Muraski Elementary School would stay, yet we would take the original K-2 part of the building and demolish it and build a new K-2 wing. We would rebuild Sarar at the current property. We would rebuild Chapman at the current property, and Albion Middle School property would become where the new Whitney Elementary School would be. So that's what the Board Facilities Committee has recommended as a part of their 30-year plan. That's something we'll continue to work on in the future. But based on where we're at, we are going to continue to hold on to these properties. We've held on to this building and kept it pretty much as a school. If ever in the future we should need another school, we would have this available, and the administrative team could move to another location. The other question we had was student fees and food services. So one of the things that we've done in recent years is we have put into a specific plan to reduce outstanding student fees. So we charge our student fees based on grade level in the elementary or courses students take in the secondary level. And before this, it was about $200,000 a year in unpaid fees. This past year, at this time last year, we had $186,000 in unpaid school fees. 130 of that was current fees, 60,000 was old or outdated or past fees. What that means, we can't have a negative balance, so the district has to use dollars that we could have used to educate our students to fill that hole. So what we did is we came up with a plan, and George and his department has instituted a plan to say, if you work with us, we'll put you on a payment plan, and we can work and you can pay as you go. If you don't pay, there are some punitive measures, such as you can't go to dances, you can't go on field trips. And as you see, it's worked because we have reduced that debt liability to $120,000 compared from last year to this year. We also don't just say, hey, we're going to put plans to get people to pay their fees more often. We take a hard look at the fees we actually implement. So in 2013-14, the average elementary student fees was $140. We took a look at that. We reduced workbooks. We reduced ancillary resources that we didn't feel we needed. And the average elementary student fee this year was $75. So we feel by almost cutting our student fees at the elementary in half, that's been a great benefit to our community and our parents. As you know, a few years ago in food services, we brought in Chartwells to manage the food service program and our food service staff to implement that. We had a rocky first year, but after that, as you could see, we've rebounded. In the last 5 years, this is the highest meals per day that we've seen, and that is also considering that we have 150 less students that are available to eat in our cafeteria. So we're proud of our meals per day, and if you look at the participation rate, we have roughly 50% of our students eating our food in our cafeteria program each day. Again, the highest level that we've seen in the last 5 years, and we're proud of the progress that we're not only seeing financially by more students participating, but higher quality food, our students enjoying the options that we're providing. And so finally, what I want to share with you, there was a lot of other things that came up in the community survey, and what we're going to do the rest of the year is go out to our community, provide guided topics and discussions with those that are interested on other things that came up. People were very interested in what we're doing with gifted services and honors and AP programming, and we'll be providing some information on that in February. In March, we're working on the possibility of having a joint meeting with our Strongsville Police Department on what school safety means and what we're doing to ensure our students are safe, what we're doing to make sure our kids are ready for life after high school in April, and then what does it look like moving forward of the integration between technology and education, and we're looking forward to presenting that in May. So I'm sure there's other questions that you may have or the people that are watching this online may have, and what you see on the screen is a URL. Some of you have already started submitting questions, but if you have questions that you have that weren't answered in the presentation tonight, please submit them. We're taking a look at them. We'll develop 60 seconds, our short videos to answer those questions. We'll put them in our weekly updates to answer those questions, to continue the dialogue between the school district and the school. And I think I have a minute to spare, but I've gotten this in about an hour, which was the goal. So I want to thank you for coming tonight. Thank you engaging with us, whether online or in person. And I hope that you share the excitement that our team and our district shares for the future of Strongsville City Schools. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate you coming. Have a safe trip home. And if anybody has any individual questions, I'll be here as long as needed to answer those questions that you may have. Thank you.